everyone. Welcome to Entertainment Weekly's What to Watch, the show where EW staff help you solve your viewing dilemmas. I'm your host, Gerrad Hall, and kicking off October with me, it's my favorite ghoul friends, correspondent Ruth Kinane, associate editor Derek Lawrence, and executive editor-at-large Dalton Ross. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Gerrad.
I hope you guys have packed your bags because this week, Darren Star is taking us on yet another TV adventure with Netflix's Emily in Paris. Lily Collins leads this series following a young woman as she adjusts to her new life in the City of Lights after she moves to Paris for a job opportunity at a marketing firm. Ruth, we've been watching Lily Collins' Darren Star rise over the past decade. Do you think she finally got her SJP Carrie Bradshaw moment here?
I hope so. The show is very cute, and I feel like Lily does a really good job at Emily. She has this beautiful backdrop of Paris, obviously, like who couldn't look good with that?
And they actually did shoot in Paris.
Yes,
That's very
did.
important to say.
Yeah, I talked to Darren Star, and he was like, there was no way I wasn't going to shoot it in Paris. It's called Emily in Paris. We needed Emily, we needed Paris, we put them together. It's a very silly show, but it's a lot of fun, and Lily is pretty good. I think that, like, maybe not going to be as iconic as Carrie, just because who is, but I think it'll have a good few seasons, so she'll get her chance to kind of grow into the character. And I will say, she's not as likable maybe as Carrie Bradshaw is, but and Lily's great, but it's just the Emily character's kind of irritating, and like I think she's written
that means
way.
Lily is playing her so wonderfully.
Yeah, she's nailing it. She's very good. But I think she's supposed to be like this fish out of water in Paris, and she's kind of rubbing all her like Parisian co-workers the wrong way because she's just very... I love that in the very first episode there's a scene where she speaks really loudly in a meeting and they're like, why is she yelling? And it just cracks me up because it's so like Americans and French people just clashing. But yeah, I think it's going to be good. I think people are going to really like it. I'm not sure if it's going to be as iconic as Sex and the City maybe. But what is?
This premise is pretty far from anybody's current reality. Do you think because of that reason, that escapism, that audiences will be even more attracted to this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a little bit heartbreaking at the same time because you're like, oh, remember when we could travel and go places and do things? But yeah, within a few episodes, you're just like, oh, this is great. I'm sitting pretending I'm in Paris as I watch this. And then you're just longing for some Parisian to like look at you with disdain and tell you that your French sucks because traveling would be so nice. But yeah, it's frivolous, it's fun. It's escapism at its best. Yeah, so totally go on a little French vacation this weekend, I'd say.
Sounds good. Not a bad plan at all. Well, if you are willing to stay up after sunset for its premiere, this Sunday you can see Ethan Hawke in Showtime's new limited series, The Good Lord Bird. Hawke stars as abolitionist John Brown in the miniseries based on James McBride's award-winning book. Derek, it feels pretty timely in this particular moment in our country. How do you think audiences will receive this historical comedy drama?
Well, it's funny that you use the word timely because I've been covering a lot of projects lately that could be described as that. Yeah. And I have myself described them as that, but I'm also kind of already sick of using that word timely or hearing the word timely. But it really is. And it's kind of unfortunate, obviously, because this is set in the 1850s. So you would hope 200 years later, we would have kind of put a lot of these issues in the rear view. But no, I think the Good Lord Bird benefits from kind of the way it approaches its story, and kind of how, as Ethan Hawke told me, like how it approaches and attacks America's greatest wound, as he describes it. It's not, as he said, it's not Lincoln. It's not some stodgy like history thing, which is for the best. Each episode kicks off with the words on the screen, essentially, all of this is true, most of it happened. So that kind of really just like perfectly sets the table for what you're about to watch. Even though the topics are something like, you're like, oh man, do I really want to, considering everything that's going on in the world, do I really want to sit down on a Sunday night and watch, this kind of show? I think you do, actually, because, they take liberties, but they do it in such a entertaining and watchable way.
Ethan Hawke has very rarely done TV, so I love seeing him being one of the latest like movie stars to see the value in all of this like big real estate that TV has to offer. He's also getting some great reviews here, which all kind of the more sells this. But so is his co-star Joshua Caleb Johnson. Do we think this is a breakout for this young actor?
Yeah, I think so. You mentioned Ethan Hawke is probably one of our, greatest actors working, at least in my opinion. I mean, he's a 4-time Oscar nominee. He's both the star and one of the writers on this. And yet, when talking to him, he points to Joshua Caleb Johnson as the true star of Good Lord Bird. And he just couldn't say enough good things about kind of the acting of his, 15-year-old co-star who had only had a few small TV credits before this. And, then to step into this world and this show, and opposite Ethan Hawke, who is just brings this fire and rage that I've really never seen from him. And he pulls it off, but like that can't be easy to work off of, especially as a really young actor. But there's a lot on his shoulders and he pulls it off.
We need to take a short break, but when we return, we're saying goodbye to season 10 of The Walking Dead. Or are we? I'm not sure. Let's discuss when we get back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to What to Watch. Earlier this year, AMC announced that The Walking Dead Season 10 finale would be postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The last episode aired in early April, and after many, many months of waiting, fans are finally able to sink their teeth into this season's conclusion. But wait, Dalton, now there are 6 more episodes being tacked onto the end of this season. You know all things Walking Dead, so please walk us through what's going on.
Yeah, it's very confusing. I'd even dare to say it's more confusing than Derek's facial hair, which I'm looking at right now. Honestly, I thought I was going to have the scariest thing with these creepy-ass portraits behind me. Like, I tried to find the most disturbing area to film this, and then Derek shows up with this thing, and he's got me beat once again. It's terrible. Yeah, it's really confusing. So the season 10 finale of The Walking Dead was supposed to air in April. It was done, it was shot, but then they couldn't finish some post-production stuff because of obviously the COVID shutdown. And so it is now finally 6 months later going to air October 4th, but the problem is they couldn't film over the past few months for the regular season 11. So here's what you need to know. Here's the headline. There are 31 episodes left in The Walking Dead before
That's still a lot of TV.
So that's still a lot of TV, and it's still going to go over the next 2.5 years or whatever.
Okay, so based on where things left off in April, this upcoming not a season finale, are we expecting something big to be wrapped up from what was left in April? What can you preview of that?
Yeah, so it was really sort of a weird cut point and jump point to wait for so long. So basically you have these bad guys, the Whisperers, and they're people that put zombie masks over their heads and basically travel with the zombies to control zombies. So what they can do is they control a herd of thousands of zombies because they can kind of lead them where they want them to go. And they have led them to where our heroes are all holed up in this building. So they look outside the window and there's like 10,000 zombies outside ready to converge. So that is where we pick up. The question is, how will our heroes survive? We have a pretty good feeling that Daryl and Carol are going to survive because they're in the spinoff that's going to air at some point. So their safety is probably pretty assured. But it's basically going to be the big culmination of the Whisperer War, which we've been watching for a year and a half, and we will get the culmination of that this Sunday.
The Walking Dead universe is not going to die just yet. The Walking Dead World Beyond debuts this Sunday. The spin-off series will air just 2 10-episode seasons, and it follows 4 teenagers as they come of age during the apocalypse. And you thought current day was tough. Dalton, we've got a young cast, even a YouTuber entering this franchise. Do we think this is meant to play specifically to younger audiences? Is there a similar tone to the original?
AMC owns The Walking Dead. It's very different from Mad Men or Breaking Bad, where they had to pay these exorbitant fees near the end to air these. They own it. So they're like, hell yeah, we're going to do more Walking Dead. And hell yeah, this franchise is never going to end because we are making insane amounts of cash. So I think it's more a play for cash than kids. But I think they also wanted to, if they're going to do a new show, it has to be different. It has to look different. It has to feel different. So this one starts in Omaha. And talking to showrunner Matt Negretti, he said the influence this is really more Stand By Me. And the question that audiences will ultimately answer is, does it feel different enough? And do we want to invest in another show? So we'll see. They shot this one in Richmond, so it's not down in Georgia. That'll help it look a little bit different and a very different, younger cast.
Well, given that it is set somewhere else, does that mean no crossover with the original series, or will there at least be nods to the events of what's happened in the original?
So the big through line is this group, the CRM. They're these 3-ring group that we saw. They're basically the people that took Rick Grimes away, who obviously remember when Rick Grimes last episode, he was taken away in this helicopter. So we saw them briefly on The Walking Dead. Then on Fear the Walking Dead, they showed up there. Now we're going to see them in a big, big way here. That's the biggest sort of connecting point to these other shows, is this mysterious organization we don't know a lot about. We don't know where they're from. We don't know what they want. We don't know what they're doing with Rick Grimes. So that's the big one. I did ask the showrunner, Matt Negretti, specifically about will we see any characters from Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead? And he said, not in season 1, but at some point it's fair to say you will see connections to other characters. So they did something very interesting where Beta on The Walking Dead, on Fear the Walking Dead, they had someone flipping through album covers and you saw him on the cover of an album cover. And so it was just like a little hint. This is who he was before the apocalypse, which I thought was very cool. So you might have little things like that, Easter eggs, that you might have to find.
Guys, that is our show for today. Thanks so much to my guests, Ruth Kinane, Derek Lawrence, and Dalton Ross. Here's to October 2020. We'll see you next week on What to Watch.